I'm Ken, and I'm here with Will.
And I just want to add that even if they aren't the greatest songs ever recorded, they're the greatest ever in our hearts.
Yes, and we're going to talk about them anyway.
That's right. Okay, Ken, what decade are we looking at tonight?
Oh, we are in the 80s. Elbows deep in the 80s today.
That's right. And we're going to be reviewing a song from one of the most prolific artists of the 80s, Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight. Ken, you could not go anywhere in the 80s without seeing Phil Collins on MTV, listening to his voice on the radio. He was in Genesis.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. He had Genesis, then 80s when he branched out and was doing his solo thing.
All those duets.
Yes. Oh, love the duets. It's in my head right now. Him and Phil Bailey. We'll get to that one in the future.
In about a year.
Yeah. And I don't know if you knew this, but he was the drummer in Clapton's band during this time.
Really?
Yeah, he was Clapton's drummer.
I had no clue. Honestly, I had no clue that he was Clapton's drummer.
Yeah, which, you know, it kind of makes sense. But, so, In the Air Tonight, here we are. This is the epitome of the 80s sound.
Yes.
Or definitely, because when you mention this song, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
The drum.
Dude, yeah, exactly that electronic drum.
But hold on, let me interrupt you. And we're going to get to your 80s sound. I just want to say for the record that this song is 5.5 minutes long or 5 minutes long or something. That drum does not come in until 3 minutes and 15 seconds into the song.
See? And,
You had to wait for the drum. Everybody is just standing around at a Phil Collins concert waiting for that drum part so they can do their little air drum solo.
Yep. And,
No, continue your thought.
and so you have that electronic drum sound, which is, it's profound. Boom. You'd say it makes the song. It definitely defines this song. So then you have that sound, 80s, Jan Hammer, Miami Vice theme song, real big into that. And Phil Collins, his music was used in Miami Vice on the show back then.
I think he guest starred on it.
I think he did too, like as some petty...
like a drug dealer
Yeah.
or something. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what his part was, but bringing up Miami Vice, I guess you and I are the Crockett and Tubbs of old album reviews, right?
Yeah. And the style.
I'm not that pretty, though. I'm not Don Johnson pretty.
Yeah, we can talk about his single.
Hey, but no, never. We're not doing Heartbeat. And, hey, I might not be Don Johnson pretty, but I'm not Phil Collins ugly either, okay? So whatever you want to say about Michael Thomas, right?
Michael Philip Thomas.
Philip Michael Thomas, right?
Those three names, we don't know which order.
Yeah,
right
whatever
now, but
whatever order they're in. Right. Okay, we're getting off on tangents.
Yeah, and so the style, which is interesting because this is when Clapton hit his period of, hey, I think I'm going to know how to dress, where he just became smooth dressing.
He became smooth dressing,
Yeah.
but his music in the 80s took a dive, man. Like, it's like, here, I'm going to learn how to dress and forget how to record good music. Sorry, not a fan of Clapton in the 80s. Oh.
Okay, so I was.
Is there a little bit of dissension here?
Yeah, I was. But
We're no longer Crockett and Tubbs then?
The line is drawn.
Oh, man. God, now I feel bad for insulting, Clapton. But in the 80s, he was horrible, man. That was just overproduced, over-synth.
Well, that was also the 80s.
I
in
know,
general.
but he's the world's greatest guitar player. He doesn't need all that garbage to make music. Phil Collins, I can see it because it kind of defines him. Genesis transformed their sound to have all that stuff in the 80s. And you could debate whether it was better in the 80s than the 70s, and it was. But for Eric Clapton, we're getting off on tangents here, but still, I don't know how you could say I'd prefer to listen to him in the 80s than in the 70s. But if you want to say he was a sharp dresser, sure, why not?
That was the day, or that was the period when he realized, there's this thing called style. Let me embrace style. Yeah. And he's never let go of it.
Extended his career.
Yeah.
Extended his career. I'm not arguing with that. You know what's crazy about Phil Collins is that this song was probably the song that like the younger generation knows today, right? Because of the drum thing.
Yes.
I think it's been in commercials. It's really part of the zeitgeist. I don't know, like, you know, what you'd call it. But he had a lot of hits in the 80s. He had Susudio, Easy Lover. Keep talking. Help me out.
Right now, I hear the cover that he did of the
Groovy Kind of Love.
Well, Groovy Kind of Love and Don't Hurry Love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those were all huge hits. He had One More Night was a huge hit. The Separate Lives.
In Too Deep, Take a Look at Me Now.
Two Hearts, Another Day in Paradise. Like, this guy kept coming with hit after hit. Against All Odds. How do we forget?
There you go. Take a look at me now. Against All Odds.
That's my favorite Phil Collins song. So besides Easy Lover. Because,
Easy Lover, hands down.
But that's Philip Bailey, though.
Yeah.
So, but this song, all of those songs we talked about were huge hits.
You know what's awesome about that? As we go through his catalog, or how he dominated the 80s, okay, so we were kids then.
Yeah.
Now we're grown men. I look at that, and my level of admiration just shoots up, because that right there, that's a hustle going, baby. That is a work ethic, which hindsight's always 20/20, right? Dun-dun-dun. Work ethic. Only person, Live Aid, to play on both stages. So, all right.
Tell the story, because it's a famous story.
So I'm in London, right? He's there in London. Was he one of the drummers that played with Zeppelin?
He was the drummer who played with Zeppelin.
So boom. Now,
Zeppelin. We'll get to that in a minute.
Because I thought there were two of them at one point on the stage. But anyway, bottom line, he played with Zeppelin, and Zeppelin reunited. So feed the poor. It was a good cause. Or the hungry.
Feed the poor.
the famine, Ethiopia. So he does this, has this monumental moment, leaves, hops on a plane, flies across the Atlantic, gets into Philly, goes and bam, throws down again.
And I think it was in Philly where he played with Zeppelin. I don't think he played with Zeppelin in London. I think it was in Philly.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
someone smarter than us will definitely let us know in the comments, because we screw this stuff up all the time.
But he still played on two continents in the same day.
That's true. No, and you cannot take away, like you said, from his work ethic, from his productivity. The guy was everywhere.
Amazing. Yes.
And I was only half joking when I said I wasn't Phil Collins ugly. This guy is not a model. He is not one of the best looking men of the 80s.
That's what I loved about him, because he gave me hope, man.
He was already balding,
Oh, yeah. I'm like, wow, you know what? I can do something. Hey, I got a voice for radio. I got a face for radio. So when I saw him, I'm like, yep, you give me hope, Phil.
No, and to be, like I said, one of the biggest artists, so many top 20 hits. What's crazy about this song is that in the U.S. it peaked at 19, which is not bad. That's a top 20 hit anyway you look at it. But in the U.K., number 2, Australia, number 3, Canada 2, France 1, Germany 1, Sweden 1, Switzerland 1, New Zealand 1. So this was a number 1 hit worldwide. Top 2 hit worldwide. U.S. 19. But then it became a number 4 hit later on when Miami Vice
got a hold of it.
Got re-released with Miami Vice.
Hey, he is a reluctant frontman, which is awesome, because he is a musician.
That's why he hides behind a set of drums.
Yeah, well, so Genesis, all right, hey, I'm the drummer, and then where'd the singer go? Yeah, I could sing too, and singing and drumming, and then all right, you're the singer and the drummer, and now you start doing your own songs. You start writing your own music, doing your own music. And, I'm a drummer, so, I'm playing with Clapton because I get to play with Eric Clapton. So
in this show, whether we talk about albums or singles, we've talked about some really great drummers, and we're going to talk about some really great drummers. Yep. We've already talked about Roger Taylor of Queen. We're Bonham, Bill Ward from Sabbath. Is Phil Collins in your top 10? I don't know if I'd put him in top 10. Maybe top 10 work ethic, but
I would not put him in my top 10, but He'd definitely be in my top 20. He's
Okay.
that guy that you're not going to recognize until you stop and catch it or pay attention to.
As a drummer.
Yeah.
Because as a singer, he is instantly recognizable.
Yes. Now, even though I say this, I'm not a drummer, he can still play and sing. So
Right.
he's got that going for him.
And we'll give him props, right? There's nothing wrong with being talented, multi-talented,
Yeah.
right? Nothing wrong with that. Now, when I think of Phil Collins, I think of his voice instantly, right? We think of the 80s. But then it's almost weird, man. He just dropped off. You know, like he was everywhere throughout the entire 80s, early 90s, disappears. Right? Like, just starts collecting stuff for the Alamo. You know, that's it. Or I guess he did it the whole time, but huge fan of the Alamo. And Ken and I are bringing this up because we're Texans and we live in San Antonio. So, you know, anytime you hear someone giving our city props, it's like, ooh, wow, what? They like San Antonio?
Big small town.
Yeah, that's it. And so for him, he collected a lot of memorabilia for the Alamo, and a friend of ours actually opened up a museum briefly that dealt with history and South Texas history, and he donated some of his collection to her museum at one time. Yeah, so that was pretty neat. But going back to the music, because I mean that's just us going off on tangents again. You know, the sound of this song, the first 3 minutes, it just has that like little synth sound to it. It's his voice, and then it pops into that thing. And you and I were watching the thing when the whole band comes in and you hear that bass.
That somber sound's gone, it drives.
Yeah, right. I honestly wish they would have just had that sound the whole time. Like maybe 30 seconds of sad Phil into that for 3 or 4 minutes, you know. But when this song came out, do you remember the rumor that like Phil Collins saw a man murdered?
Yeah.
And this was him saying, "Hey, I saw you murder that guy."
I remember that.
You know, and if you look at the lyrics, right? You can. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. But I know the reason why you keep your silence up. You don't fool me. You know, there's a little bit of stretching, man. And to me, it just sounds like a guy whose woman just cheated on him, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what it sounds like to me. I've been looking through the lyrics, and I guess it could have been Phil Collins saw a murder happen. You know, he saw a felony take place, right? Why didn't you report it to the cops, Phil? You know,
it made a great song,
right? I mean, but to me, it's just it's a love song with an 80s synth beat and that electronic drum solo in the middle.
Yeah, and the fact that he was able to go that long with just a somber sound before the band comes in, that in itself was a feat.
And that's his voice. That's the power of Phil Collins' voice.
That carried that song, yeah.
Because we keep saying it over and over again. And I really believe this to this day. The problem with music today, this is my old man boomer moment, as my daughter would call it, is that people's voices may be technically better today. They're just not as recognizable. Do you disagree with that?
No, I agree with you there. There's very few defining voices.
And it's not just the voice, it's also because the technology allows them to correct whatever imperfections they have that kind of give your voice that organic feeling in the first place, right?
Yeah, very polished.
Yeah, and I'm not saying Phil Collins didn't have polished music, right? Like, I mean, they spent a lot of time in the studio cleaning things up, whether it's this, whether it's Genesis. I'm just saying his voice, no matter what, it's going to come through, you know, and you're instantly going to, every single kid from the 80s knows his voice.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. Now, Ken, are you driving around playing this song or are you kind of like, I know, like if I hear it on the radio, I might change the channel, but I'm not changing the channel until after the drum solo. That's right. I'll wait. I'll sit there for 3 minutes with that drone and Phil in the background until I can do my drum solo, hoping that I don't crash my car. And then I'll change
like, all right, I'm good. I'm good.
Where are you at with this?
Oh, I'm totally the same. Although I will listen to the entire song.
Yeah.
Yep. But I gotta hear the drum.
Right. And you know, I've actually grown to have a new appreciation for Phil Collins because in the 80s, he was so in your face all the time. Him, Bruce Springsteen, Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson. You just get tired of seeing people after a while. You know, I'm not saying that they're not great musicians or performers.
But yeah, we had that year after year. Yeah, they had a dynasty. They were running things, so they were always
And
there.
so when you're able to step back and listen to their music when they're not in the public spotlight all the time, it does give you a new appreciation for it. To be honest with you, though, Miami Vice, I know it's been on reruns. I've seen those. I know you can find episodes online.
I haven't, watched that in
I have
probably
not
30
seen
years.
an episode of Miami Vice since the day
It went off the air.
It went off the air.
Yeah.
You know, so, sorry, Crockett and Tubbs. But anyway, I want to sum this up by looking at Phil Collins. Well, not looking at him because we already talked about that. But do you prefer his solo output or do you prefer him with Genesis when he's part of that unit?
See, so my take, I actually like when he's with Genesis, and it's like when Michael Jackson joined the Brothers, because he can do his own thing, and I like the fact that he has a solo career, but he's still part of the band. He's still part of a team, and that he goes back to the team, almost like Thundercats. Signal goes off, and boom, there they are.
Yeah, and give props to the other members of Genesis when he's
Tony
having so
Rutherford
many solo hits, and they're like, "Why aren't you cutting this in on that?" You know? I mean, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode today. If you did enjoy it, please hit like, hit subscribe. Every week we're coming at you with new albums, new singles, because we're just reliving our childhood, enjoying old songs from the past.
Yes.